So I went on Slimming World for a year. When you go on Slimming World, they do your first week, and you get to the end of the first week and they say, oh look, 4 to 6 pounds lost, and what an amazing system we've got. And everyone goes, woo, that's great, because it is a mind-boggling system. You don't know how it works, but you're allowed to eat as much as you like of any particular foods, and you're still allowed to eat things like McDonald's, McFlurries, and ice cream and chocolate bars, but only in a certain amount of them. And it's absolutely magical when you start it. That first week, when you look at the scales, you go, wow, I've lost 4 pounds, 6 pounds maybe. Of course, that's the first thing that's wrong with it. The weight loss in the first week isn't fat necessarily. You might lose some adipose tissue or some glycogen from your adipose tissue, but the bulk of the weight loss in the first week is glycogen being expressed from the muscles and from the liver. Glycogen is stored in water because it's a particularly unstable carbohydrate, lipidinous substance, and it's used for energy. So that when you start the system, your blood glucose goes way down. You lose all that glucose out of the system. Your body releases the glycogen. The glycogen is stored in water, surrounded by water particles. Water is heavy, and that accounts for most of the weight loss in that first week. Now, I don't think that Slimming World are particularly egregious in doing this and saying, oh look, you've done well, because it's a great little boost. You've done something for yourself, and that's happy for that, and that's great. I'm very happy for that. And I'm going to say now that the support group for Slimming World is fantastic. Going there every week and having some support from people is great. Having a chat with people, seeing other people in the system, having a talk from the maitre d' or the monsieur who is in charge about how we're doing. We will have to stick your hand up at some point and say how you did, but it's all done in a very positive way, which I think is the absolute gold standard for teaching people new habits. You should never admonish them, you should never tell them off for how they've done, if they've done it wrong. You should always encourage, and Slimming World are excellent at doing that, to the point where I really miss going to those meetings. It's not appropriate now, and I'll explain why in a minute. So, on Slimming World, you can eat as much as you like of lean meats, of vegetables, of salad, and egg, and all those things. Anything without lots of fat in it. And you can eat a piece of toast or some cereal each morning. You can eat as a healthy C, I think it's called, and a healthy B, which is milk, dairy. You can have 120 mils of semi-skimmed milk, or you can have more skimmed milk or less whole milk, depending on the fat content. You can have 30 grams of cheddar cheese, and that's all free, so you can have that much a day. And then on top of that, you have a SYN system, spelled SYN, and you're allowed a certain number of SYNs per day, and each food has a SYN value. You have to weigh out your food, make sure that you're not taking on more SYNs than you're allowed. And these foods can be anything you like, anything at all. Most of it has a SYN value, and if it's a product with a barcode, you can scan it into their app and find out what SYN value it is. Every week on Slimming World, you will lose 2 pounds or so, maybe up to 2 pounds, unless you're very lucky. You'll have a big loss one week, but the likelihood is you'll plateau every now and again, and especially when you get towards your goal, your ideal weight, where you want to be, not necessarily where your body wants to be. You'll plateau like nothing else, and it feel like forever getting to your goal weight. How does it work? It is a calorie counting system. It doesn't feel like it at the time because you're allowed to eat anything as much as you like of all those foods. And it's Slimming World really that opened my eyes to the idea of ad libitum eating as a means of weight loss. So ad libitum means that you can eat as often and as much as you like within structural parameters. In this case, you're allowed those foods. You have to eat lean meats, vegetables, and what they call speed food, which is salad. There are some off-limit speed foods that are actually go in the other category of carbohydrates. When you load up your plate, you're supposed to have a third meat, lean meats. If you want a third proteous food, could be lentils and what have you, or vegan chicken. A third of it is supposed to be vegetables, so your broccoli, your spinach, your brassicas, cauliflower, anything, carrots, things like that. And they're supposed to be steamed rather than fried. You don't cook anything in oil, or if you do, you use the 1 cal ultra processed oils that purport to only have a calorie in them. They do only have a calorie in them, which means they don't have anything good in them, I'm afraid. So you can cook them in that oil. You can have a fry up in the morning. If you cut the fat off the meat, off the bacon, have as many beans as you like, baked beans. You can have egg fried in that 1 cal stuff. And you can eat as much of that as you like, as long as you do it in those proportions that I mentioned. And you can then, during the day, you can have anything up to, I was allowed 20 sins. So I used to have a mini McFlurry quite frequently. That's 4.5 sins. You could have a Mars bar, I think is 6.5 sins, something like that. It's a calorie counting system because all of the foods that you can eat ad libitum, as much as you like, are bulky foods that are low calorie. So broccoli is got loads of water in it. It's a big bulky food. It'll hit the back of your stomach wall and make you satiated, albeit briefly, and it won't allow that many calories into your body. And there are all those foods like that. All the vegetables, fresh vegetables, are bulky. Unfortunately for Slimming World, the things they choose, like potatoes, are also fairly low fibre compared to other things. Potatoes are a big staple of Slimming World, actually. Potato and rice, because you're not allowed bread mostly. So you end up eating a lot of potato, a lot of rice, and these things are bulky, full of water, don't have that much calories in it. So the gamble is that you fill yourself up before you've taken on too many calories in that system. Of course, if fats were allowed in that system, then the fats have a denser calorie profile than carbohydrates. So that's why we cut all the fat off the meat, and so we don't take on so many calories. In the end, it's all a gamble about how many calories you can logistically take on when you eat lean foods and lots of veggies and speed food. It's called speed food. Apparently, if you're not having much weight loss, you eat more speed food, and that will help you, because salad, lovely though it is, doesn't have much of a nutritional profile at all. It's mostly water. So that's how it works, basically. And then the sins that you have on top of it, they're very easy to calculate. I didn't bother scanning things after a while, because all you have to do is look at the calorie content on the back of the packet and divide it by 20. Each sin is 20 calories. And so you can see how that adds into that gamble of a calorie restriction plan. As far as calorie counting is going, it's fine. I think obviously calorie counting is bullshit, and if you want to know more about that, you can click on this video up here. it is bullshit. And also I worry about Slimming World because it's full, even if it doesn't have much sugar in it, it is full of starchy things like potato and rice, which aren't as bad for you as straight up sugar, I think, but they promote those sugary things, and their bars and their synned products, they promote those things above healthy fats, natural foods, whole foods. I think they do that because it's a bit like a Nicorette patch type approach to food. So those that are used to eating a lot of ultra-processed junk, of Mars bars and chocolate and nutty bars and all that, they don't have to give it up cold turkey. Instead, they can keep eating a degree of what they think they like, but they're addicted to, in my opinion, and yet still lose weight. The other problem I have with the reason why I quit Slimming World is because I read a book called Why We Eat Too Much. I've forgotten the name of the author. He's a bariatric surgeon, and he said one line that really etched into my brain was, you can't lose weight, you can't choose to lose weight, you don't do it, your body does it if it wants to. And that is etched in my brain. Most people don't lose weight, they stay about the same weight or get a bit bigger. And he talked a lot about the mechanisms of fat storage and how it works or doesn't work. And his advice was to eat a lot of fat, because then you'll feel satiated. And when I came off Slimming World, that's exactly what I did. Unfortunately, what I found was I came off Slimming World, for a while I just ate moderately. I didn't binge, didn't go to McDonald's, I didn't particularly eat bad foods, healthy foods, and my weight just shot alarmingly back up. It just ballooned up. If you were seeing what I was eating at the time, most of it was salads. I think for lunch it was a sandwich and a packet of crisps. But all the teas were freshly made pasta and other meals like risotto, which I make generally without too much cheese even. And my weight just pounded back on. Everyone was a bit worried about it because I was fairly thin on Slimming World. And I was worried about it too, but I couldn't go on with the thought that I'm not giving my body adequate nutrition. I couldn't deal with the system. I thought that I'd had to stay on Slimming World the entirety of my life. It is quite a restrictive system. The food is very monotonous, even for, I think, a decent cook like myself. I had to make it interesting a lot of the time, and it wasn't that interesting. Fats are delicious and good for you. That's the other issue. I've known my whole life, I've known since studying sciences and biology at school, that our body is quite largely made up of lipidinous substances. Our cell walls are lined with fats, with lipids. They are essential for our ongoing survival. So why would they be harmful to us? Why would we suddenly cut them back? And I just don't think I think fats are a red herring. I don't think they're that bad for you. I think some fats might be unusual in their makeup. Trans fats, obviously bad for you, and trans fats can occur naturally and be bad for you. But they are, in terms of spreads, a man-made thing and have been shown to be extremely bad for you. So ultra-processed fats I steer clear of, because who knows Yeah, so I couldn't reconcile in my head that this was a good system that cut out fat. I couldn't envisage staying on the system my whole life. When you do get to your target weight, they say you can have an extra healthy C, which is the piece of toast. You can have 2 pieces of toast instead of 1. They don't really have an idea about how to maintain the weight, apart from that you have to keep coming to the club, you have to keep on the system, a bit like an Alcoholics Anonymous club. And that's an interesting comparison, actually. So I gave up, weight ballooned on, and you might say, well, should have stuck with the system then. That's your problem, lack of willpower. My problem has never been lack of willpower, and I've lost much more weight than that before, not on Slimming World, and I continue to fight the battle. Sometimes it just seems pointless, but here I am still exercising, doing what I do. So Slimming World. When I came off it, I did try a bit of this ketogenic, essentially, diet, which is mostly fats and high-fat food, high-fat meats, and leafy salads, green salads. You might not know it, but green vegetables have a lot of fats in them, very healthy fats. And I couldn't stick to it. My weight didn't carry on going up at that point. It wasn't already on a massive upswing, but it did seem to stabilize while I was doing that, and then I couldn't carry on, and it carried on rising. Low carb, high fat diets I think are interesting. I think for this reason, I don't think I'd stick to one though. So that's not my plan. Should you go to Slimming World? Well, if you feel that's for you and you feel content with the idea that you can stay on Slimming World for a long time, then that's great, because it's an extremely welcoming environment, very nice people, nice to have a chat to people about your weight problems, and nice to be held accountable every week for what feels like an addiction. There's some kids up ahead just come out of school, so feel free to go and try it out. I thought it was magical when I was on it, and very effusively recommended it to people, made special Slimming World recipes, all sorts. I'm gonna have to pause before these teenagers make fun of me. My final thought rounding off this video is, recently I was looking for a weight loss support group, or at least a body image support group, somewhere where I could go and have a chat, just like I was at Slimming World, and to talk about all these issues I've been thinking about and researching recently. And I looked on the NHS website, and there were lots of groups on there, but to my dismay, they were all Slimming World. There are hundreds of those groups around. It's a private organisation that makes money. It's not too bad at charging fees, actually, but it shouldn't be the only thing advertised on the NHS. It feels like a bit of a cop-out, really. The NHS have gone, we don't know how to deal with this. We're gonna just pass people on to Slimming World and they can deal with the problem. So that's very disappointing. I still haven't found a group that I can go and chat to. That's partly why I'm talking to you now. Anyway, If you've enjoyed Slimming World and it's helped you out, then I'm extremely happy for you, and keep doing what you're doing. Not for me. Bye.